情欲，心无忌。
Hey everyone, it's Kay. Welcome to my complete guide for Peregrine Sword, Sushang's new battlesuit. Sushang is a physical biotype S rank releasing in version 8.2. She's under the Astral specialization Law of Ascension and uses the gauntlets. In this video, I will be going through her kit, suitable team compositions, rotations, equipment, and more. Starting off, let's take a look at her mechanics. Sushang is protected by the Astral specialization Law of Ascension. Like the other Law of Ascension units, she relies on a quick swap playstyle, making use of normal and enhanced QTEs to allow each teammate to contribute to overall damage. When Sushang enters Stellar Outburst, the game will slow down, and you can pick between selecting her and eligible team members. Picking Sushang lets her cast her Stellar Shift attack, dealing a huge amount of physical damage and temporarily enhancing her. Before I introduce the other skills of her kit, I want to talk about the nature of Sushang's damage. The damage dealt by Sushang's attacks are considered to be bleed damage. Bleed is a subtype of damage that is attributed to certain Valkyries on top of their main type. It cannot crit, and is considered neither melee nor range damage. Prominent Valkyries with attacks that deal bleed damage are Valkyrie Quicksand, Luna Vow, Potential Man, and of course, Peregrine Sword. Moving on to her actual kit, Sushang has a meter called Sword Force, shown by the 4 segmented bar above her HP. She can restore Sword Force through her basic attacks or weapon skill. Her 4 basic attack as well as her weapon skill can connect into the joint weapon skill Forest Piercer, dealing physical damage and increasing Sword Force by 2 levels. Once she exits the field, the level of Sword Force resets to 0. Interestingly, the skill page gives the bar names depending on how many segments are filled, though it doesn't actually matter until it's full. Once the Sword Force meter is full, Sushang can perform a combo attack that deals physical damage and inflicts bleed trauma. After performing the combo attack, she can perform a joint weapon skill called Swaying with Wind and Rain, dealing physical damage and inflicting bleed trauma. Entering Stellar Outburst grants Sushang the Delicious Delight state, allowing her to cast Forest Piercer, Leaf Sweep, and Swaying with Wind and Rain consecutively. Sushang's attacks also deal 3 damage to Hitcount shields, making her extremely effective against bosses like Pishacha. As for her support capabilities, she has 2 Astral Ring related attacks. The first is Heavenly Shift, allowing her to support other Law of Ascension Valkyries with her ability to perform Stellar Shift. The second tag is currently unknown, and is connected to a lock skill related to an Astral Ring specialization set to be released in the future. Moving on to Sushang's gear, let's first take a look at her weapon, Jadeite Sleeves Windward. It has strong personal buffs and a few decent teamwork buffs, enhancing Sushang's Stellar Shift and bleed trauma application. It also provides her with slightly more flexibility due to the weapon skill cooldown reset upon bringing an enemy's HP to 0. All these buffs means that missing out on her weapon will make her suffer a sizable damage loss, so I highly recommend pulling for it if you plan to get her. Like all Part 2 weapons, Jadeite Sleeves comes with a synergy skill that is a small multiplier that buffs the Valkyrie on the field, making it usable in both DPS and support scenarios, though not as effective as an independent multiplier. It also has a secondary effect, giving Sushang an additional physical damage independent multiplier, which is nice for her personal damage. This is the damage difference between all 3 synergy levels of the weapon. There isn't really a big enough difference to warrant pulling multiple copies unless you're a whale, especially since the synergy skill doesn't provide any utility like SP or cooldown reduction, so I strongly recommend saving for future releases instead. Stigmata wise, there aren't really many options to consider other than her signature set. She's very reliant on the attire set since a lot of his buffs are locked behind the 3-piece bonus. Fortunately, it won't be difficult to complete due to the entire set being craftable. It will be more than likely that players will have pulled at least 1 or 2 pieces while going for her weapon. As a Law of Ascension Valkyrie, Sushang relies on Heavenly Shift teammates to support her. She's usually paired with Lone Planetfarer and Fiery Wishing Star, though swapping out Fiery Wishing Star for 1000 Face Mace Trail is an option for faster rotations. However, using the latter may not be always worth it if she's below SS rank due to her low SP regeneration, forcing her to use combo attacks to ult. Since the Law of Ascension specialization relies a lot on other units dealing damage as well, not having 2 supports with Heavenly Shift in Sushang's teams significantly weakens overall damage output and makes rotations feel more clunky. While this restriction is already relatively less prominent as newer Valkyries with attack are released, it means players without the necessary supports will have to struggle with using her as a DPS for a pretty good while, especially with patch lengths being increased. With all that out of the way, let's talk about how to play Sushang. I'll only be able to go over her rotation with Lone Planetfarer and Fiery Wishing Star, but the inputs for Sushang specifically can easily be applied to other team compositions as well. Sushang is quite straightforward to play, usually casting Forest Piercer upon QTE to fill up Sword Force before casting Combo Attack to perform Swing with Wind and Rain. It's important to note that this, as well as any rotation examples for Law of Ascension Valkyries, are simply suggestions and can vary differently depending on the enemy you're fighting or the abyss tier you're in.
收放自如，快躲开！这便是独行心间之人。哼，相坠于此，愿你安眠。哼，纯知的羽翼将撕裂天阙。你在看哪儿？动！剑随意动。天涯独步，破万兵。尝尝这个。你也放下了？攻其不备，一招制胜。看剑，有过来，一脉之外。这里是我们的主场。拜年时间到，贺岁飞出！以此烈火，送旧迎新。吃不消了？那再来点。呀！天涯独步，破万兵。太慢了，料敌机先。一切尽在掌中。纯知的羽翼将撕裂天阙。剑指万里，自讨苦吃。我心如剑，且是天涯独步，破万兵。别想逃，打起精神哦！云云长吹，棒棒棒棒！要变快了，闪亮登场，该动真格了。
While the rotation may look simple, there are some things to keep in mind. The example shown was using the Teresa Astral, providing bonus initial Astral intensity, as well as a second stellar shift for Sushang. While rotations with a more free-to-play friendly alternative like Dreamseeker are still quite similar, you may need to use Vita's combo attack for more Astral intensity if you're trying to enter stellar outbursts as fast as possible. From my testing, Sushang is a pretty decent unit who performs particularly well in the bleed niche. If you're a more competitive player looking to clear Nirvana and place in Myriad, she's definitely worth your while, but even more casual players can make use of her, especially if they don't have anything for Bleed weathers. With the length of new patches being extended recently, there's now a lot more time to save for future releases, making Sushang a much safer pool than she normally would be. Of course, I don't think anyone should feel forced to pull for her, but if you do, she'll definitely be a useful addition to your roster. That's it for my Sushang guide. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments and I'll try my best to answer them. I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks for watching.